Okay, just a wee quick interruption here to let you know there will be a second part of this video. So at the end of the scene from Morocco, there will be another wee part. The reason for that is when I arrived back from Morocco, one of the jobs that I sometimes do is I cover martial arts events for the Taekwondo Association of Great Britain, and covered the English Championships shortly after my return from Morocco, and decided to set myself the challenge of just using the Z8 with Viltrox 50mm f1.4 Pro lens. It's the only lens I used all day. So stay tuned at the end of the sunny bit for more of what's happened once I come back. Cheers, guys. No more to words of Scarface. Say hello to my little friend. This is the new Viltrox 50mm f1.4 lens for Nikon Z-mount. Now, I've had this lens for a couple of weeks now. Thanks very much to Viltrox for sending me it. Full disclaimer, they sent me the lens for free, but they're not paying me for the review. They are not in control of what I say. They don't get to see the video before anyone else. So my opinion is my opinion, and that's it. Take from that what you want, guys. So last year I moved from Fuji to shooting full frame Nikon, and one of the lenses that I wanted to replace was my Fuji 35mm f1.4, which is the equivalent of a 50mm in full frame. Now, looking at the options back then was the Nikon 50mm f1.8Z, which I've tried. One of my friends has it. It's a cracking lens, but I heard rumours about the Viltrox 50mm 1.4 coming out. Heard, they launched it for Sony, and I waited with bated breath for it coming out for Nikon. In the meantime, I purchased the incredible 50mm f2 Air lens, which is cheap as chips. I think it was about £150 in the UK, so whatever the conversion is to where you stay. As I say, thanks very much to Viltrox for sending me this. So I've now been hands-on with this for a couple of weeks. It arrived on launch day. It was supposed to arrive a few days before that, but delays in shipping and stuff. But it's here now. I've used it in the studio to do some portraits of some actors, so I'll drop in a couple of shots from that. And I've been in Morocco for the last week, putting this through its paces. Now, if you're looking for pixel peeping, the sharpness charts and test charts and MTF readings and stuff like that, guys, switch off now and look somewhere else. I look at things from the point of having been a full-time professional for 15 years now. So as long as it's producing good results, it's sharp, autofocus is accurate, it's fast, there's not massive amounts of vignetting, then I'm happy. That's how I tend to look at this. And it's how I've tried to use this across here. If I was at a wedding, it would be used for grab shots, for some of the portrait shots, and that's pretty much how I've tried to use it across here. A few wee kind of detail things. Chromatic aberration, forget it. I don't see it. Somebody that's pixel peeping might find it, so hey, shoot me, but I don't see it. Loca is present if you're shooting wide open at f1.4 up close, but generally if I'm shooting something that close, it will be detail shots of a product like wedding rings or a cake or something, and I'm stopping it down, so it's not really a big issue. Having used this now quite a fair wee bit, I can wholeheartedly say I would put my own one into this, 100%. Autofocus is near as damn it to being instant. If someone says, this lens is faster or that lens is a tiny bit faster, hey, shoot me for it. I base it on my experiences, and I love the 50mm f2 Air. It's a much lighter lens. This is up about 800 grams. But then again, I'm shooting it on a Nikon Z8, big full frame 45 megapixel camera. And if I'm honest, I'm 6'1", I'm 17 stone, I'm a big guy. It doesn't really bother me that much. 50mm lenses, I personally feel, is a focal length that gets neglected an awful lot. Back when I was a kid, growing up, wanting to get into photography, looking at cameras that were advertised, back then, everything was sold with a 50mm, usually a 50mm f1.8 lens. It was a standard lens. There's a reason it's called a standard lens. And the reason for that, if you don't know, is the perspective that you get from a 50mm lens is the same as the perspective we get viewing things from a human eye. It's not the same angle of view, but the perspective's the same. So you tend to find when you shoot with a 50mm lens, people, they connect with it in a way that they might not always understand why, but there's just something about that shot that draws them in, especially for environmental portraits. It's how we see things. So since I've been across here, some of the things that I've been doing is, as I said there, some environmental portraits, speaking to people, asking to take photographs of them. I've photographed people sand dune surfing in the Sahara. I've photographed some surfers, some guys down the beach, as well as everything else in between, some of the stray cats. Just putting the lens through as much of a test as I possibly can, shooting into the sun. Yeah, there's a wee bit of lens flare, but you're going to get that from almost any lens. It's just a matter of kind of choosing, to make it work for you if you want to. So I'll drop in, throughout this, I'm going to drop in some of the behind the scenes footage that we caught. And at the end, I'm going to drop in some of the shots that I've taken with it so far. For me, and as I say, I've had this lens for a couple of weeks now, wholeheartedly, it's a winner. It's an absolute, if it comes down to this or the Fuji, back in the day, if this against the Nikon f1.8Z, which I say I've tried my friend's one, and it is a good lens, this gives me an extra 2/3 of a stop. Wider aperture, shallower depth of field, but also when it comes to low light, it's just that wee bit extra that I don't need to put the ISO up quite so high. Not that that's a major concern for me. And I've seen a couple of comments. I saw one of the Viltrox social media posts, and because people do this, and you can hate me for it, but a spade's a spade with me. Somebody jumped in and says, yeah, if only it was f1.2. f1.2 versus f1.4 is 1/3 of a stop. And even at 1.4, I find if I'm shooting some of the portraits, if you get someone with their head turned very, very slightly, you're going to get one eye in focus, and the other one's very slightly soft. How much less depth of field do you want at 1.2? Would it be nice? Hey, great, fantastic. It'll probably come along at some point in time. They'll introduce it in the lab range. But for me, right now, this is a winner. I'll drop at some point one of these screenshots with all the kind of how many elements and how many groups and how many sort of different types of lenses and stuff like that. That's great if you want to sit in front of a computer and look at all the tech spec of a lens. I don't. I want to grab the lens, stick it on a camera and get out shooting it as much as I possibly can. I'm a professional. I spend as little time behind or in front of a computer as I possibly can. For me, it's about how it feels shooting, the results that I'm going to get. What I've seen so far from this lens, it deserves a Pro Badge 100%. I will be doing more videos on this. I want to do a video comparing this with the 50mm f2 because it's the closest. I might borrow my friend's Nikon 1.8Z for portraits. I also own the Viltrox 135mm f1.8, so I'll maybe do a wee video comparing those as well. But overall, it's a winner for me. Guys, as always, if you've got any questions, drop in the comments section and I'll try and answer them as quickly as I possibly can. Take care. Right, just a wee add-on to my comments from Morocco. When I come back from the trip, one of the jobs that I do quite regularly is photograph martial arts events. So a few days after I get back, I was photographing the Taekwondo Association of Great Britain's English National Championships, and I decided to set myself and my lens, this lens, a 50mm 1.4, a challenge to being the only lens that I used all day. I'm going to cut to the chase. This absolutely smashed it. Was it more challenging than using a zoom? Of course it was. But most of the day this spent its life at f1.4 when I was shooting the event, shooting the actual fights. And I'm sure you can appreciate that some of these guys and girls, I was photographing people who are current world champions, and these guys and girls move really, really quickly. The movement can be erratic. You think they're going one way, they suddenly go the other way. My Z8 was locked onto 3D tracking, autofocus. ISOs were up about 4,000, 5,000, so that I could get 2,000th of a second because I wanted to make sure that they were frozen in their movement. Hopefully you'll see in the results that they were. This locked on like a wee limpet. It followed them about. It rarely let me down. There's no lenses absolutely perfect. Yes, there were some shots where it missed focus. There were the odd shots where it would lock onto someone else and then quickly jump back to them. But for the vast majority of the day, this delivered everything that I possibly asked of it. And whilst I've said it before, the world's full of keyboard warriors who will tell you that this lens is a better autofocus system and these type of motors are better, and that's great. I'm pleased for you. Fill your boots, be happy. If you're shooting portraits, people are not going to move much faster than these martial artists. If you're shooting, for talk's sake, a wedding, I've yet to see a bride in over 300 weddings who can move down an aisle faster or as fast as a world champion taekwondoist who's trying to kick someone square in the head. It doesn't happen. The autofocus is fast enough. My shots that I've taken from the studio stuff that I've done, the event work at the martial arts event, and the trip to Morocco where I was taking portraits, some landscapes and basic sort of travel shots, the image quality is outstanding. It's absolutely fantastic. I know when I was in Morocco I said this is a winner. The performance of this lens at the weekend, just a couple of days ago, really confirms that even more for me now. If you need a 50mm lens for Nikon Z system and you can afford it, get it. Simple as that. Yes, Viltrox sent me the lens. They don't pay me to say what they want me to say. I say what I want to. And that's the bottom line, guys. It's an outstanding lens. It's razor sharp, even wide open. The autofocus, I've just covered that. It's fantastic. Just buy it. Just if you've got one and you're hovering over the buy now button, just click it. You'll be happy that you did. If you've got any questions, as always, drop them into the comments section below. I will have more videos coming with this lens where I'm going to compare it with the 50mm f2 Air, and I might get one or two other 50mm lenses in for comparison as well. I'm also going to do some comparisons between this and the 135mm f1.8 for portraits, and I know they're completely different focal lengths, but hey, it'll be fun. So hopefully this has been some sort of use to you guys. Hopefully you've liked some of the images. Any questions, as I said, drop them in the comments below. Stay tuned for the next one. See you soon, guys. Bye bye.